Take one fresh and tender kiss at some stolen night of bliss. One girl, one boy, some grief, some joy. Memories are made of this. Don't forget a small moonbeam falling lightly with a dream. Your lips and mine, two sips of wine. Memories are made of this. Then at the wedding bells, one house where lovers dwell, three little kids for the flavor. Stare carefully through the days, see how the flavor stays. These are the dreams you will savor. With his blessings from above. Serve generously with love. One man, one wife, one love through life. Memories are made of this. Memories are made of this.
Hi, and welcome to the Queen City Chronicles. My guest for about 15 or 20 minutes is Jim O'Connell.
Hi, John. How are you?
And Mr. Baseball, who will be doing the Mr. Baseball show after Mr. O'Connell, who would probably tell us about the history of rounders or town ball.
Well, we could do some of that. I'm more of a soccer guy than anything else. But
football.
Football. Well, football as it's called. But I just there was a gentleman who was going to call in, who wanted to call in, and since I'm only going to be here for 15 minutes, if he's listening, sir, if you're listening,
please
call in. I'd be happy to, and we can discuss an issue of education. I'm usually on, as you know, with Education Matters, and was on until a minute ago, and we had a call coming in. I wasn't able to take it because we had shorter time. But it's an exciting time in Manchester because it's the time of the year anyway, but we have elections coming up, so that always sort of narrows the focus for people. It's also since we're here talking about since you're here talking about baseball, let's say, this is fall sports season in our high schools and around the city and that, so
absolutely.
We have a lot of games. I have a daughter playing right now as we speak at Gill Stadium, started at 6:30.
Really?
Yeah, she's playing field hockey.
Gill Stadium, which was the home stadium of the Manchester Yankees, a B-ball team that had Doc Maddich on and several other players that made the Yankees.
Wow.
I have a Manchester Yankees baseball.
Was it built for them? I mean, who was it built for?
It was built for around 1915. It was Textile Stadium. And when I had my show, when I was Ward 13, I used to have the textile team. Because the working classes, that was their game, in the United States. The English immigrants, but the Irish immigrants of the late 19th century, early 20th century were considered like what blacks were considered in the 60s, 70s, natural athletes, because they were the great baseball players of their time.
Yeah, and how things change over time. So back to this. So we have my daughter's playing a game
Soccer?
No, field hockey.
Ooh, that's
At Central High School, the Bill Larkins, the coach over there, has done a wonderful job over the last few years. And I can say this because I had a daughter who played for him 4 or 5 years ago. And Central High School was perennially, it and Memorial and a couple of others were always at the bottom of the table of the 16 or so teams. And it had to do with, again, just feeder teams and the lack of quality in the program and all that stuff. And, I'll say it because my daughter was on those teams. Kids went out to play for field hockey if they, because they knew they would never get cut. You show up, you got to play. You didn't have to be a full-on athlete.
We got an incoming call.
All right.
Hello and welcome to the Queen City Chronicles. Are you calling with a question for Jim O'Connell?
I am.
Okay, Jim, take it away.
Hi, who's this?
Hi, Jim. It's Phil.
Hi, Phil. How are you?
Jim, it's really not a question. I could frame it as a question, but I think you and I know each other well enough that if I just threw it out there, you could address it. Do you mind if I do that?
Oh, please, yeah.
But on your last show, and I did call, but they had told me that you were going to be on the next show, so they asked me to call.
Right.
You made an issue, I would say, and that's a strong word, but I'll stick by it, of a $10,000 donation being made to Gatzis' campaign.
Yes.
From a developer.
Yes.
Am I factual so far?
Yes, I was. Yes, I mentioned the fact that a campaign donation of $10,000 had been made to the Gatzis campaign for re-election by Soha Development.
Okay, and I think you and I have a history of coming to some agreement.
Right.
Okay, I would agree that's not an optimal situation. Would you agree?
I agree. I think optimal in another sense. The optics are off, right?
Right. So, let me regress a little bit. You also made the analogy of people making an issue out of Ron Ludwig and Barbara Shaw. You did mention Damage too, but I want to keep that separate.
Okay.
Because I don't know him as well as I know Shaw and Ludwig.
Right, and I was talking about more broadly, Phil. I was talking about the fact that people, people just instead of being forthright about all of it, were picking and choosing. So they wanted to damn Ludwig for his vote, but there were lots of other things going on, and they didn't want to talk about those at all.
All right, so let me try and tell you where I'm coming from, and then I'll ask you to respond because I do really respect your opinion.
Thank you, Phil.
Alderman Shaw and Alderman Ludwig, I have the utmost respect for. Now, they voted for relatives that have contracts. We all know that. That's a fact.
Right.
I'm not passing judgment on them for that.
Right.
You also know that my brother is a Ward 5 alderman.
Yes.
And he abstained from voting on the waterworks contract because his son is employed by the waterworks, correct?
I did see that, and he said that he felt that it would have been a contravention of the charter, so he did abstain from the vote. Yep.
Right, so here's my point on that, and then I'll get into the donations. I don't think there's a problem with my brother's thinking, and you could make an argument that it's not a problem with Alderman Shaw or Alderman Ludwig's thinking.
Right.
So where's the problem lie? It lies within the language of the charter.
Correct.
That's how we get to this murky place, correct?
I agree with that, yep.
All right, now let me make the analogy. You're not happy with a developer donating $10,000 to a mayoral candidate, especially the sitting mayor, and I get it.
I'm particularly just to be.
I've already said publicly it's not optimal.
Right.
All right, but let's go to the next, the other side of that card, the other side of that coin. Is it any different than municipal employees, which I am one, and I'm a strong union advocate, making large donations to their candidates? And the point I'm trying to make is, it's not Ted Gatzis' fault. It's not Joyce Craig's fault. Maybe it's the system's fault.
Right.
So to call out an individual and say this isn't right, let's get a full picture. Yes, he's getting donations from business people. He's a businessman. That's his circle of friends. That's his circle of people that think like him. That's his circle of people that have his same type of ideology.
Right.
And vice versa, when you speak about his opponent, and again, nothing personal.
Yep.
And I am one of them. I'm a union member. They tend to back people of that ideology, and they back them not only locally but statewide and nationally with large donations.
Right.
And the reason I'm calling you is because I know you're a man of character.
Right. Thank
So
you.
let's get the full picture out there.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah,
So,
there are some donations. There are some donations that you could throw some shade at on Ted Gatz's side, no doubt. But there are also some donations on the other side of the coin, whether it be the mayor's race, the governor's race, presidential campaign, Ward 0 alderman, Ward 56 alderman. Unfortunately, it's the way the game is played.
right. Well,
What I've tried to do as an ultra-liberal, even though I back some Republican candidates, is say, why don't we call in everybody and put an end to the baloney?
yeah, and can I just respond then?
And I'm hoping I can recruit you to be my co-founder.
Well, I got to tell you, Phil, that the problem of money in American politics is bigger than. I'm not saying I wouldn't help, but it's a big topic, right? It's everybody knows about
Right.
it. I just go. This is where I come at. I appreciate your call, but where I come at it from is this, right? So I listen to other media sources and people with bigger bullhorns, and I have the privilege of living in Manchester, and I have the Union Leader as my newspaper, which I've said many times I don't want to damn because it doesn't pretend to be anything else. It's a conservative newspaper. It doesn't try to hide away from that, but it does every day after day, keep on repeating the things it wants to repeat. We have people on social media. We've got people with microphones in this city, and we've got people on public access television and radio, etc., on this city who are expounding as one side of the story all the time. So I've listened now to weeks and weeks and weeks of, Joyce Craig is a spendthrift. Craig is in the pocket of the unions. Joyce Craig owes her allegiance to them. She's going to break the tax cap. We have people out lying about her that she's taking this letter that she sent out. All of this is all going on, and I'm pushing back just a little bit. And I'm not carrying water from her. I'm just saying let's the people who are going to the school board candidates who are having these meetings, and there's one coming up next week again in Hooksett of all places, and the set of questions that they're being asked to respond to are all very self-serving because they don't touch that side of the house, Phil. They only want to talk about what Barbara Shaw or what Ron Ludwig did. And when it comes to parental notice that I mentioned, they only want to talk about parental notice around sex education or creationism. They don't want to talk about some of the real truth. So my attempt here is isn't to skewer it in one direction or the other, but is to say, hey, there's an equivalency here. If you're worried about union donations, and I didn't mention them earlier, but I did talk last week or the week before about the fact that, if you're worried about that, Ted Gatzis was sponsored by, or was supported at least by, the Teamster Union in the last election, which was only 2 years ago. So it's not as though one is
in a fire department union in years past.
Right. So it isn't.
Well, time out. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
You just made a lot of points. So here's my point. When he's with them, they support him. When he's with the taxpayer, they're against him.
No,
Phil.
Phil. No, I got to stop.
There are media outlets. There are media outlets that are continually bashing the other side of the aisle, the Democrats, and I get that. And I don't like it either. It's bad politics in my book. But I'm looking for somebody that'll deliver, and you do have a voice because you have the show, both sides of the story at the same time.
Right.
Because it's not a Democrat or a Republican, a conservative or a liberal issue. We're getting nowhere locally, statewide, federally, because we can't come together.
Right.
And as long as we have somebody saying, and in this case it's you, if I interpret you right, I'm just trying to balance the scales. So every time they throw a bomb, excuse the language, I'm going to throw one.
I object to that.
Why don't we just present the whole show all together and say, here's what's going on, folks.
Right. So Phil, I'm with you most of the way along there until you get to around when you say, if they throw a bomb, I'll throw a bomb back. So I'm not in the business of throwing bombs. I'm certainly not in the business of repeating well-known lies and just knowing. If you call me up, which we've talked before, Phil, and you've made points to me, and I've taken them on board, and other people have too. And so if someone says, if you had called up tonight, the first thing I thought when you called, Phil, I thought you were going to tell me that I'd made a mistake, that the $10,000 donation was was a lie and hadn't happened. And I would have been, that could have been true, and I was sitting here thinking, oh my God, because that would be shocking to me. I'd never want to be part of the people in this city who throw lies and mistruths and half-truths at each other. So I would have been...
I don't know if it's true or not.
Well, I've seen it, yeah.
But here's what I do know. It's legal. And I'm not saying I'm happy about it.
Right,
I'm not going to walk around with a parade and saying developers should be able to donate $10,000. But I will say this. It's really, if you really get down to the nitty-gritty, and if you have an open mind, it's really not that much different, if at all, on the other side.
Right.
There's big money in politics.
Right.
And to that point, and if I drill down, I'm going to take a chance, but if I drill down, it's been reported that she's raised more money than Ted Gatzis. I will bet. I shouldn't use that language. I would say that a lot of it is either from out of town or from organized unions or from sources that you or me or anyone else could make a case against.
Right.
That would parallel a developer.
Right.
So to my final point, neither side is squeaky clean. And neither side is where we want them to be. An open, honest discussion led by the people with the common man having his voice heard.
Hear, hear. That's what we all want.
I'm calling. I'll tell you why I'm calling. Ted's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
That's one reason. And another reason is I would really like to have this conversation in the open.
Right.
About everybody. About all of them. Get them all in a room. Where's the money coming from? It's coming from Washington. It's coming from everywhere.
Right.
And we all know it. It's coming from big business. It's coming from big organizations. Well, you know where we're coming from? We're coming from a community that needs good schools, safe streets, elderly people that can stay in their home, development, all of those types of things.
Right.
Okay.
We're coming to say this.
When people are calling everybody out on this stuff.
Right. We're gonna. Thank you, Phil. I'm gonna just pull it on that because we're taking up this these guys' show, but I appreciate the call. It's all very thought provoking. I agree with you in the end that the common man, the everyday taxpayer, we want our issues resolved and with this shining a light on it is a good thing.
And thank you for calling in.
I got to get back to the Aldermanic meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Sorry
we got wrapped around the axle on that.
No, that's absolutely fine. I just regret I cannot join in the conversation.
Yeah.
Because of SLAP, Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation.
Right.
I'm handcuffed. I would, if you could, Kirsten, in a little bit, show on the screen Kathy Sullivan, who was a member of the Charter Commission. It was at 1997, which was in 1998. Had in the Union Leader. I'm not going to read it. I did before. Could you bring that up on the screen? If you folks want to go to Kathy Sullivan, the right way to update Manchester's charter, April 28th, 2017. And I am not going to say a word, but as I scroll down, you could read the first paragraph. I'm not saying none of us are going to read it.
Right.
But it's there. And I can't say anything.
That's fine. Well, I know you don't want. I don't want to be getting you in any.
Oh, can you bring that back up? Just put that up there so people can read that.
Right. But what?
And that's a significant thing, I think.
Right.
Well,
can I just say something, because I don't know what's on there, I want to say this.
You're right.
I do want to say this, that when it comes to people lawyering up, and the whole lawyering up thing bugs me a lot. And I'm not asking you to comment because you're involved in litigation. I know.
And you can come and bring back three shots.
So I know that you and a former long-term alderman have been.
I'd rather you not talk about it.
Not talk about that. So I will talk about myself for a minute.
Right.
So I took the opportunity to go before the board mayor and alderman a month and a half ago.
Yes.
To talk about a school board member at large who had introduced a very contentious topic around intolerance of Muslims, etc. in our city, and I went to City Hall.
And thank you, because I have Muslim family members.
So
by the way.
went to City Hall, not to. I hadn't done it before. It's not in my nature to go after people.
Right.
In my point wasn't to go after somebody. My point was to draw a line in the sand and say, these are when people come into our city to advocate things, that's a line too far. But the point is, right?
Which was a position the person took on the person's radio show, which was absolutely refuted by Chief Nick Willard.
Yeah,
absolutely,
right. But the point is, this had to do with school board member at large, Rich Gerard, and on his radio show, I listened to him the other day, and he's going on about he's trying to get Joyce Craig to come on and come on his show and debate with him, and he's sort of accusing her of if there are times when you have to come in and you have to talk about people.
I'd rather you not talk about this because I know a lot about what happened in 2015 when he did a similar thing, and I might be he will probably be.
Okay, so if you don't want me to talk, it's fine. I was going to make the point only.
How do you like baseball?
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you the point.
Cut to the chase.
Let me just say this: the point is then that when people, the threatening of lawsuits are lawsuits, right? People who are on publicly saying, "Why don't people come forward and speak out?"
Yes.
When I invite that gentleman to come before me in any public forum and debate the merits of what he had to say, and his response is, "I'll take it to my attorneys." That's his interest in public disclosure and discussion about topics he doesn't like.
Yes,
but,
Mr. Right to Know has a habit of not wanting people to know.
I think we should probably go back to baseball and have a lot of fun.
I know.
The 5 other things I was going to go tonight. Sorry for taking up your time. It's always good.
I invited you, and you will probably. I've invited you also to be a co-host. We're going to split the show in half because I really can't participate because of this lawsuit.
Right. Yeah.
And so I've asked you if you have people.
You can,
and you're always welcome on.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But can I just say something about
I'm usually very quiet and stuck for words. I'll
Right.
try and put a few together for you.
What you said about the Muslims was very important. It affected me and my family, and I think it actually had the effect of stopping it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because I could see something coming, knowing certain individual, where they were going to try to make that into a campaign issue. And we won't talk about even that. But I think your world of you that you did that you took that stand, and I think it had an absolute positive effect.
I hope it did. It was meant to be educational, instructive, and to make a point that, there are some lines we won't cross in Manchester.
Well, sit down while we play that video, the next video, and we're going to go into the baseball show.
All right, folks.
A beautiful,
play ball.
Seamless, whatever. There we go. And the mics are usually on.
Why they go in and run for Dean? Wait a minute. Listen, boss, I've been in the big leagues 14 years and I never appeared in the World Series. Please give me a chance so I can tell my grandchildren.
Oh, go ahead, boss. What do you got to lose? We're 7 runs ahead.
You heard what he said.
Dean is up, folks, and here comes the first pitch.
Strike one. Wait a minute. You okay, Sam?
It's all right, Roy. This damn glove.
Max, how the hell are you going to call him from way back there? He looks wild to me.
If your knees are here shaking, Max.
Mind your business, Red Nose, and play ball! Throw it in here, Greenhorn.
All right, do it again, Roy. Come on, boy. Do it again.
Strike two. Bunch of throwing spitballs.
Now, pig's poop. That ball's as dry as your granddaddy's scalp.
Well, you better not be trying any funny business out there. Rump hot.
You watch your mouth, mister.
Forget.
Groove it in here, son.
Okay, this one's it, Climber.
This is it. Yeah,
Don't let me down.
Don't let up. One more, boy.
Let's go.
Come on, Roy. High five, baby. Punch him out now. Yes, we go. Strike three. You're out.
Welcome to the Mr. Baseball Show. I am Mr. Baseball, and along with my guest John Hopwood, we will be discussing baseball.
What's my title,
Not
Mr.
politics. We had a 15-minute barrage of politics. I
Yes.
sat there not knowing what to say.
Straight from the chamber.
Yeah.
Oh.
At any rate, baseball is our forte here.
Yes,
John.
but as you know, Mr. Baseball, although this is the Queen City Chronicles, this is the Mr. Baseball Show segment. We taped your show earlier today, and I revealed my plan in light of Aaron Judge breaking Mark McGwire's rookie home run record, which on Matt Connaughton's show, by the way, we call it, what is it, home run.
Home run.
We're very careful on the radio how we pronounce certain words. Is it Iran or Iran?
No.
Is it
Potato,
Moscow?
potato.
Or
Tomato, tomato.
Moscow? Like those Anglophile idiots say on ABC now? Or is it Moskva, like I would prefer? At least say Moscow.
So what about Aaron Judge?
I believe any reason, this is what I said, any reasonable person would assume that any rookie that could not only break Mark McGwire's home run record, but break Babe Ruth's single season record for taters at home. Well, I think he's drinking something stronger than Yoo-Hoo, chocolate Yoo-Hoo.
Now, the man is 6'7", 280 pounds. He's
So
built like a
what?
tank.
So what? There's been plenty of guys built like that, and they don't hit 52 dingers as a
Well,
rookie.
there's always someone special. He couldn't get away with PEDs or anything these days.
Oh.
You can't.
Right.
They test them too often. I mean, since that big what to
That
do
was
and-
under a different regime.
Yes, it was.
Bud Selig, if you read Game of Shadows, the book that revealed it all, and everybody said, every sports writer, the ones that are all so sanctimonious now about they don't want Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame, lest they sully it, they knew exactly what was going on. And whose record did Aaron Judge break, Mr. Baseball? Mark McGwire.
Mark McGwire, yeah.
I an admitted PEDS
He had
user.
49 home runs. He fell short. He had a few games.
An admitted PEDS user.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah.
So, I am planning, just remember, folks, I'm a satirist, too, so take this with a grain of salt. We can cut that part out, right? I am sending a telegram, which now you know I'm BSing because there's no such thing anymore. Let's count down. 5, 4, 3. I am sending a telegram to Judge Mitchell. Judge Mitchell, part owner of the Boston Red Sox, to investigate this terrible calumny, all this stuff that's going on.
The last one he did was a farce.
Oh, he revealed that the evil empire, this is the heart of the PEDS conspiracy, was Yankee Stadium. Now, some people say that him being a part-time Red Sox owner, that he might have ignored Big Papi or Jerry Remy's son. I don't buy into
Manny
that.
Ramirez. Who knows?
As a Red Sox fan, I believe in his integrity. And I just hope, if he does take up this cause, I hope he still owns his Red Sox stock, or I'll have pie on my face.
So I suppose Roger Clemens took PEDs only when he was with the Yankees.
No,
not with
he
the Red
did
Sox.
he did with Toronto too. I have absolute evidence of that. I think I have a picture that came down from Area 51. Which, incidentally, I actually found out the truth about Area 51. But I can't share it with you.
All right.
Yes, when we're on the Matt Connaughton show, there's all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
For 7 years, he was Norm, the psychic, Manchester's favorite psychic, his sidekick.
Yeah.
I know there's things we can't talk about,
Well,
like how they're trying to get an impermeable wall built up here on the 4th floor. Because when Norm and his friends are passing over illegal aliens from, the 5th dimension or whatever, Age of Aquarius and all that.
But getting back to Judge, he was a shot in the arm for baseball this year.
Oh, I love the fact that the Yankees got these 2 studs, and it was just so exciting because it looked like they were going nowhere.
Yeah. Now they've got 3 studs.
Yeah, and that they got in the playoffs is great.
Yeah. We'll see what happens tonight.
In
a half an hour.
The playoffs without the Yankees is just not the playoffs. And
Well,
you know what I think about the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, of course I know what you think about the Yankees. You know what I think about the Yankees.
Yes, and all you Yankees fans, who there's far too many of you in New Hampshire and the Queen City, I just think here is your champion, Mr. Baseball himself, the title holder, Mr. Baseball. And what did we encounter today on your show? I'm thinking about Christ and the disciples in that rowboat, where everything, the waves and everything. And finally he wakes up and calms the sea and says, "Oh, ye of little faith." You've already counted out the Yankees from going deep into the playoffs.
I'm a realist. I mean, I would love to be wrong, but I don't think they can get past Cleveland if they win tonight.
Well,
and Minnesota's the Cinderella team to begin with.
What's their record?
Doesn't matter what their record is. It's a one-game playoff. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I think that Judge and, there's going to be maybe a couple pass balls or a wild pitch or two.
You never know.
Geez, that Patriots game. Holding.
They got
all over there.
They got Ellsbury DHing. I thought it might be
Ellsbury's DHing?
Yeah, and they've got Hicks in center.
And you don't think Ellsbury's had a shot in the arm career-wise? You can't see. I'm giving him the all-knowing wink.
I don't know. He had a heck of a year with Boston, and then
years
he was
ago.
always hurt. I didn't want.
And some way Cashman, the general manager of the Yankees, didn't know about that. He was always hurt with Boston too.
Yeah, he was.
Hey, what happened to that pitcher they came up with Ellsbury, the one who the plague hit him? I was down in Washington. He's in a playoff game, and all the bugs came over him.
Oh, that was on the Yankees.
He's supposed to be the next Ron Guidry, except he was fat.
Yeah, he.
What was his name?
Gosh,
they put him in the Hall of Fame, for that half season.
They kept him a couple years, and then they threw him or gave him to Detroit, basically. I can't think of his name. Joe Torre always said he should have called timeout and pulled his players off the field.
What was that kid's name?
Oh, he was half Indian. I know that.
They both, because Ellsbury's like almost full-blooded Indian and grew up on a reservation, and he had come up, and he was like half Native American. And so it was quite a story, because he seemed to be so talented.
Yeah.
But I think he might have had a weight problem or something.
Well, I could picture that guy throwing, but...
Ellsbury came up while PEDs were in their heyday and were about to be busted. And people that take PEDs have all sorts of problems with their joints and stuff. So maybe that's one of the reasons he might have broken down, like Teixeira or somebody.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Yeah. Well,
it was pretty dangerous stuff to be dealing with.
To
PEDs revived McGuire's career when he had a terrible ankle injury in the 90s, and it seemed like his career was going to be over. And it was good to put him back together. But it has to be above board, like human growth hormone. That should be used by anything that's going to put like Andy Pettit back together when his elbow is like falling.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
What the hell is wrong with that? But it has to be acknowledged and above board. I guess they were illegal, so maybe that had something to do with it. Amphetamines weren't illegal when the guys were taking the greenies back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, no,
they really weren't.
Well, I know
Nixon that went after
I know we talked about it on my show this morning.
We did.
About no, you didn't hear. Let me finish.
This is. I'm anticipating what you're going to say. And then we'll just
about
cut
the
show.
playoffs.
Yes.
Okay, now tell us who you think is going to win.
Red Sox.
Okay.
I've changed my mind from earlier today when I thought it might win, to where after you remember, we lost part of the show. Remember when I got that revelation from on high? It must have been some contact thing from the Norm and Friends show. And I can't remember what it was, but it told me. Put the mortgage, folks, on the Red Sox.
No.
Not much of a bet is baseball.
Houston, folks.
Houston.
Yeah, but
you said Cleveland was going to do it.
No,
Are we talking about
that series?
We're talking about the ALDS.
Cleveland's going to whip whomever they play in both series, and then probably take the World Series. I think they can beat the Dodgers.
Oh, the Dodgers are going nowhere. Remember that Bob Dylan song, "You Ain't Going Nowhere"? You ain't going nowhere.
Oh, anything can happen in a short series. I've seen it many times.
Red Sox are just they're going to become the Cinderella team.
You and I, yesterday at Billy's, we were talking about the...
yes, we were at Billy's Sports Bar.
83 World Series. And that's...
I thought we were talking about the 80 World Series, but, we're two old men.
But the Phillies were the underdogs in that series.
And they lost.
No, they won.
They won the 80 World Series against Kansas City in 6 games.
I'm saying they won the pennant.
Yes, against the Dodgers when, what's-his-name gave up that dinger. Remember?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was in a car when that happened. Where was I? I think in California.
Remember Jerry Royce was one of the aces on the Dodgers.
I think it was in Oregon.
Oregon.
It wasn't Royce. He didn't come in and give it. It was
Roos. Yeah,
No, it was the reliever, Fatso, Terry Forster.
Was it Forster that gave up the?
Oh, it was a shot. Remember? You thought it was Gary Sarge that hit the dinger, right?
I did. Yeah.
Well, I could turn on my phone and find out. If I was in the catbird seat, I could find out. Mr. Baseball does not like the computer, right?
No, I've got enough up here.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right, I got a trivia question for you.
Yeah,
one
Ted
of those.
Williams.
Yes.
Go ahead.
What player in the playoffs has a significant other that the Michigan State Legislature passed a statute banning her from taking selfies of herself on her iPhone?
That's a baseball question?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's right up there with Ted Williams up here in
New
Loudon.
Oh,
Loudon.
I couldn't answer that.
Houston, Verlander, Justin Verlander. His girlfriend, Kate Upton, has been banned from taking selfies. And
Now, how do you ban somebody from taking selfies?
Well, actually, it's a technicality. She can't put them on the cloud anymore.
Oh.
Yes. I told you the story about, well, we won't name names, but he had come from Temple, and for a year he'd absolved himself of all sins. And we were watching the Houston Red Sox game that if Houston had won it, it would have put the Red Sox and the Yankees in a playoff. And he F-bombed when Houston blew that rally. And he said, damn it, now I've sinned again. And then I showed him Verlander's girlfriend, and he sinned again.
Sorry, dear. I changed the animal's name. It wasn't deer, D-E-A-R. It's
Yes.
D-E-E-R.
He's going to have to wait till Yom Kippur next year to get rid of these sins.
Got to go back to Temple. You can't do that.
Yeah, the Yankees, though, a team with that type of firepower and with a good bullpen can go deep into the playoffs.
Absolutely.
If it gets hot. And Girardi's got a World Series ring.
He has one, yeah.
One.
Well, he has a couple as a player also.
Farrell has one. We're talking about managers different than being a player.
Yeah.
If that was true, Yogi Berra has two, an AL ring and an NL pennant ring, and got to 7 games in both.
I think he has 10 World Series rings.
He's got 10 rings only, and DiMaggio had 9.
47, 49.
Okay, we don't have to go through. We don't have to traipse through time. Remember, we talked about traipsing through time.
Traipse, yeah.
Traipsing, a word from the past. But I think the NL stinks this year.
You know, well.
I guess because I'm watching all these games where the AL's whipping. I'm watching the Yankees and the Red Sox. And it didn't turn very well when I would be watching the NL.
Do you know that Yogi hit the first pinch hit home run in World Series history?
Well, Mr. Baseball, we're talking about 2017 again, and Yogi Berra, unfortunately, is no longer with us.
True, but you jump very quickly into another year, and I like to finish the one we're on. But at any rate.
Well, I think that's the reason our show, we only got 18 and a half minutes and the thing blew up. Either that or it was that revelation from on high.
Okay, what about the National League? Arizona and Colorado tomorrow.
Arizona.
One game. I'm going with Arizona also in Greinke. Then they play whoever
what
wins.
A pitcher, huh?
Yeah. Always fabulous pitcher. Cy Young Award winner with Kansas City a few years ago.
Should be in a Red Sox uniform.
Whoever wins that game plays the Dodgers. Who do you like?
I got to go with the Dodgers. They've just got they've got a whole team, you know?
Yeah. Then
I don't know about whether this manager is going to do it though.
Yeah, and then Washington.
Washington's my favorite, but there's something they're just not getting there.
Yeah.
That's because my friends who have season tickets in Washington don't bring me down for the playoffs.
Right.
I have a record of 13-1 at Washington Nationals games going back to RFK Stadium. It was uncanny, particularly when they lost that game. It was that one game after like dozen straight games. This is when they were losing 107 games. We'd go, they'd win.
Like the old Washington Senators.
Jeez, yeah.
Well, now they're the Nationals, but
the Natties.
The
yes.
Washington Senators were probably with the St. Louis Browns the most feudal teams in baseball.
First in our Washington, first in our hearts, and last in the American League. That's what.
First in war, first in peace, last in the
right.
That's how it went.
Because Washington was never first, except George Washington. Washington was never first in anybody's heart, except the lobbyists.
Last time they were in the World Series was 1933 as an American League club.
With soon to be a Red Sox superstar and player, Calvin Griffith's son-in-law, Joe Cronin.
Cronin, yeah, he was traded to the Red Sox.
My favorite teacher at West High School was named Joseph Cronin Sullivan. He's born in 1942 or 3. So he's Joseph Cronin Sullivan.
No relation?
No, it's just because his father was a baseball fan.
Do you remember Tom Clemenger back in the 50s?
No, Mr. Baseball, and why is because I was born in 1959. So it'd be very hard for me to remember.
Okay, the
Tom
reason I
Clemenger
asked
back in the 50s.
The reason I ask is there's a Clevenger on the Cleveland staff that's throwing very well.
Is he?
And Tom Clevenger was a pitcher, and I'm wondering if they're related.
Should I go onto the phone and find out?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I'm afraid of what might be on my phone.
But you never know.
Pictures from the future Mrs. Verlander.
The evolution of the Boons. The Boons. Ray, I saw him play. Then his son
Ray
Bob.
Boone was a Red Sox.
He was a Cleveland and Detroit player.
I thought he was a Red Sox.
No.
Huh.
He may have had a year with him. You can't keep up with all those players.
Yeah.
Rudy York even had a stint with the Reds.
Rudy York was Detroit.
Yeah. He got the only hit in Claude Passau's no-hitter in 1940. One hitter in 1945
Mr.
World
Baseball, don't you want to skew young? We were talking about 2016 and 2017 at Billy's Sports Bar. Suddenly we're back in 1943. Even you can't remember the 1943 World Series.
Yes, I can. The Yankees.
You're 3 years old. You're in France.
I remember them all.
You could only speak Russian.
The Yankees beat the Cardinals in that series 4-1.
Hey, could you put up Kirsten H on the back? This is Jacques Barzon, a Columbia professor and a well-known professor and cultural critic he wrote The House of Intellect, published in 1959. Oh, is that going to be actually up there? Yes.
It is.
Whoever wants to know the heart and mind of America had better learn baseball.
Absolutely.
It's true. Uh-oh. I never like to kind of hear... I have so many bill collectors after me, Mr. Baseball. There is a shower curtain hanging off your side mirror. I think I got that message early in my show. Well, this is my show, isn't it?
Yes.
But it's your show, Mr. Baseball. We seem to have schizoaffective disorder.
We're playing musical chairs.
Why would somebody go to my sister's house and hang a curtain off of her car? I bet it's always interesting with around John Hopwood, particularly since the last couple months.
Since this is a baseball show, so a foul ball wouldn't hit the window. I don't know.
Well, it's better than somebody taking a baseball bat to it. That's cost me $500.
Oh yeah, they're expensive.
At least I've had my tires slashed when I got involved in politics back in 2013. So I guess a shower curtain is better than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So who are we looking up? Ray Boone or somebody else?
Well,
that picture that you were so excited about.
Tom Clevenger. Was it Clevenger?
Tom Clevenger. Obituary. This is not exciting show when I'm looking at this stuff. And who's his son, or who is this person?
I don't know. I don't know if they're related.
And we're talking about a Clevenger on what team again?
I think he pitched for the Red Sox.
No, we're talking about this year.
Oh, he's with Cleveland.
Cleveland. Let's look him up.
Yeah.
Cleveland, which last won a World Series in 1920.
No, 48.
Oh, that's right. Was Ray Chapman on the 1920 team?
Yeah.
Or did he die?
No, he was still alive. Carl Mays killed him a couple years later.
When
I say killed him, he was beamed, folks. He didn't take a gun and shoot him.
There seems to be nobody named Clevenger on the Indians, my friend.
Am I saying the wrong?
Mike Clevenger. So here we go.
Oh, it is. So, okay.
I don't know how that happened.
He's throwing well.
Cleveland Calm. The best sports site is baseballreference.com, and it's not coming up.
Well, I was just curious. It's not. It's not something I have to put in my memory bank.
What would you say the odds of the Red Sox winning the whole thing this year are?
Oh, about 8-1.
Why 8-1? 3-1, I'd say.
No.
3-1.
No.
4-1 is too much.
I'd say about 8-1.
And where do you get those? Do you make book?
No.
You're no longer a bartender. You need some type of occupation.
Yeah, Social Security.
He went 12-6 with a 3.11 ERA.
Yeah, he's throwing well.
Okay.
He's working himself into the rotation, and Cleveland's going to have a good team next year again.
And I predicted that David Price will come out of the bullpen, start the 7th game of the World Series, and make history. Yeah. And I'm not going to say what that history is, because it could be one way or the other, right? Gives up 7 home runs.
The only way he would start it would be out of desperation.
How many dingers has he given up in his career?
Oh, well, who knows? Few. Tanaka gave up a bunch this year.
Is there any trivia questions out there that deals with a seasonal statistics? Mr. Baseball does not like personal questions. People visiting the Granite State.
When was the last time Ted Williams was in New Hampshire?
I got it almost a year. I said 1998. It was 1999. Okay, here's one for you. When was the last time Phil Rizzuto visited the Beau Rave over here in the great? It was over in Bedford, I thought, a club that Betty Davis and many others went to. When was the last time he visited? I don't have a damn idea, and I don't even know if he ever came.
I don't either.
But I got you stumped, though.
No. I had a trivia question thrown at me a few years back.
Well, let's hear it. Maybe I can do it.
Only one player played in every World Series game between the Yankees and Brooklyn Dodgers.
Well, it wasn't Mickey. Was it
started
Mickey
in 41 and ended in 56.
41?
Yeah.
DiMaggio was gone in 53.
DiMaggio was gone in 51.
51, excuse me, yeah, because 50 he wasn't there for 52, 53. Mickey came up rookie 50. 51 was his real first season.
Yeah.
Did he have a cup of coffee in 50? Or was 51 he came up?
He had a cup of coffee, but 51 was his
Because he was
rookie.
6, and then he became 7.
Yeah.
'Cause remember when you first, like, one of the first shows you were on, I had him with a 6 on him.
Yeah.
From when he was 18. He's 19. 41, it has to be a pitcher. But Ali Reynolds was gone, but he wasn't there from 56.
No, it could have been Rizzuto.
Not Rizzuto. Rizzuto wasn't there in 56.
Well, he was there in 56.
But it's not him.
Stengel and the management called him in the office, said, we need to cut somebody. Who are we going to cut? Because they
You
were
mean he
making
wasn't in the postseason in 56?
No, they cut him loose.
Jeez, they're ruthless.
Because they were bringing up Kubek.
Christ, that's ruthless.
But the answer to the trivia question is Pee Wee Reese.
Because I'm thinking of the Yankees.
Yeah, he's.
I'm thinking of the Yankees. I'm not thinking of Brooklyn. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, he played in every single game.
Pee Wee Reese, who wasn't good enough to be a Red Sox.
Well, they didn't let him.
Neither was Jackie Robinson, and neither was Willie Mays. They just, except Pee Wee, it was, I can't remember that story. Oh, yeah, Joe Cronin vetoed him because he wanted to play a few more seasons. He said the kid couldn't play. They had his contract. They owned the rights to him.
Harold Pee Wee Reese became the captain of the Dodgers and well respected.
Better that he went to the Dodgers where he played a key role in helping Jackie Robinson break the color barrier.
Right. He was
his close friend.
He was good friends with Robinson. And
yeah, he
helped him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Played catch with him. A lot of players wouldn't play catch with him.
Did they get rid of Dixie Walker?
Yeah.
Because he said he wouldn't play with him.
Oh, there were a lot that said that.
Whole teams would say, we're going to boycott him. But then Happy Chandler, who was from Kentucky, said, okay, do it. And then they'll fine you, and then you'll be forfeit the game.
Right.
And so they actually, when the owners hear that, okay, you're going to play. But
the Red Sox turned Jackie Robinson down of it.
And we won't say.
And they sold Babe Ruth.
Sold Babe Ruth, greatest player ever, who won 92 games. Only player, home run titleist, and ERA titleist.
Yeah.
Only guy to hit 60 dingers and win 20 games twice.
Right.
He won 24 games once.
Yeah, and held the World Series record for scoreless innings until Ford broke it in 1962.
His record is so crazy,
yeah,
because his WAR, wins above replacement, as a position player hitter is more than anybody. And then he's got, in what was it? Basically, as a pitcher, like 5 years, he won almost 100 games. Yeah. He didn't win a 300-game winner.
Yeah,
as a left-hander. Well, the Red Sox probably had to keep him as a pitcher. They always lacked pitching.
Yeah, and they unloaded Red Roughing to the Yankees.
Let's not get into it. Danny Cater for Sparky Lyle. But, Jackie Robinson got the tryout at Fenway Park, and up from way up, they say, get that, expletive deleted, one of the most hateful words you can say off the field. Here's a guy that was a military officer.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they had the rights to Willie Mays, who went on to hit 660 dingers, and if he didn't spend 2 years in the military, could have broke Babe Ruth's record.
Absolutely.
Because he hit, when he came back, 40 dingers, and I think he was either 29 before he left.
He came up in 51, and...
right, with Mickey.
Yes, and then he missed 52 and 53.
Yeah. Because he's in the service.
In the service, that's right.
I guess Mickey couldn't go in the service because of that knee.
Well, there's a lot of controversy about that.
You can't go in with a bad knee.
Yeah, he had osteomyelitis, but...
Marlon Brando tried to join in World War II, and he had a bad knee because the cartilage of his knee, football injury. So he couldn't go off the war, so he became an actor because there was nothing better to do. That's a story he tells.
That's nice.
And because it got him girls. Because,
in Tahiti.
That was after he became a superstar.
Yeah.
Well, there's a famous story about him when they wanted to give him an Oscar when he was older.
I remember that.
But
Sent an Indian gal up.
No, this is when he was retired. Well, there's two stories, in fact. And one, they wanted him to play King Lear and have the great director, Elia Kazan, who was his mentor, direct him. So they sent his best friend. He said, Georgie, the only reason I became an actor was to get laid, which he had already done many, 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 many times, so he was not interested. Then when he was an old guy, his good friend was the head of the Academy, The Streets of San Francisco, Carl Malden. They wanted to give him an honorary Oscar as the greatest actor ever. He says, do I have to show up? He said, yep.
He had a bigger nose than I do.
Yep. He told Carl Malden, forget it, I'm not going. You want to mail it to me, sure.
Getting back to Willie Mays, they just changed the name of the MVP for the World Series to his name,
I don't
right?
even want to hear that crap. It's all those names on these awards, like the Edgar Martinez DH award. Well, guess what? Pappy's the greatest DH now. It's crazy, these awards. First of all, Willie Mays only was in one winning World Series, right? 51. Was he in the 51?
Well, the Yankees won that one. He won in 54. They swept Cleveland.
And that's it.
That's it.
73 he lost, and they lost in 62. This is not, it should have been Joe DiMaggio or Yogi Berra. But, you know, in this era, and I'm going to say it frankly, you're not going to put a white guy on the award. Who has the most rings? Yogi.
Yeah.
It should be the Yogi Berra World Series award or Joe DiMaggio. 9. Come on, Willie Mays and Babe Ruth.
Willie Mays was just as good as those
No, but
guys, if not better.
No. You can't say that Willie Mays was better than Joe DiMaggio. And Joe DiMaggio was in 9 winning World Series. It's a World Series award. What records does Willie Mays have from the World Series? None.
He doesn't have any.
None.
What does
And
Joe
Babe
DiMaggio? What does Joe DiMaggio have in the World Series?
9
records?
rings.
Well, yeah, but he had a supporting cast.
Doesn't matter. It's about, you don't associate the World Series except for one catch, where Joe DiMaggio was the greatest player of his time, and he was a great fielder. Willie Mays was the person that kind of, him and Mantle, who was going to inherit that?
Joe was bowing out the year Mays came in.
But it doesn't matter, Mr. Bispo. We're talking about actual performance in a World Series. Joe DiMaggio is one of the greatest money players in history. No one would deny that.
I will not take anything away from him. He was a great ball player.
Do you know what it's like for the Red Sox? Like, I got the book for you, the season of '49, when he's injured. He comes back and he just savages the Red Sox.
Yeah, the 4 home runs and the doubleheader.
Jesus Christ. I mean,
yeah,
unbelievable. It's like Reggie Jackson, except without the attitude and with a great glove.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that, veteran, lost 3 years. They have to tape him up and send him out there. And then he plays, and they get a hold of him and bring him back in.
That 49 season, the Red Sox went into Yankee Stadium for the last 2 games of the season with a 1-game lead, and the Yankees won both games.
My point is, you can't atone for the sins of racism in baseball just by putting some black African-American players on these awards. It's ridiculous. And it's man. It shouldn't be any name on those things.
Well, it doesn't bother me.
No, it's ridiculous. He's not associated except for one catch. And Yogi Berra was in more victories. He had a ring for everything, every finger and every thumb.
Caller line 1. What do I hit right here? You're on the baseball show. We have about a minute.
Hi there. Hey, what year was some of the baseball players here? You take David Wells, David Ortiz, Veritek, Johnny Damon. He was on that team. Kurt Schilling was on that.
Kurt Schilling.
Manny Ramirez.
2007.
2007 World Series.
2007 World Series.
We got our second ring after a long drought.
2005.
But you're talking about a World Series victor, right?
Yeah, they didn't win in 2005. The Chicago White Sox.
This was the players that was on here.
Well, they were also on the 2007 team. Oh, that's nice.
When was Ted Williams in New Hampshire the last time?
And
1999.
I got another card. I think it was
1999.
I recognize your voice.
2009, yeah.
I hate.
Yeah, this is Susie when married.
Yeah, I hate to cut you short, dear, but
we
we're
only got 1 minute. Yeah.
Under a minute. Take care.
Call in next week.
Yeah, call in next week.
And call in earlier. Well,
Yeah.
we got to go now because then we got to pick up another 7 minutes for the show that we botched. Hey, call in like 5 minutes. Hey, thank you, Mr. Baseball.
Thank you very much.
And we will be back before you know it.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
Next week.
Every second half hour will be baseball.
And we'll be talking about
Through the World Series.
current world playoffs, then go into the World Series. Should
And
be
what
fun.
you have something to say to Cindy.
Cindy, pour me a beer. I'm heading to Billy's Sports Bar.
And so am I. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Play ball!